episode of Blessing Bank CEO series where we sit down with accomplished professionals, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to uncover the stories behind their journey, the successes, the mistakes, the setbacks that can actually help others grow and grow faster and wiser. So today I'm honored to be joined with Alhaja, is it Alhaja or Madam Alhaja Adeola Agoro, a journalist, a movie producer, an entrepreneur par excellence, a media consultant, and a creative professional whose work has impacted many lives. Her work has impacted many businesses and many organizations across different spectrum. So I would like you to please introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Deo-Agoz.
Good day, everybody. I have chosen to say good day because I don't know what's the time you are, wherever you're watching us from. It's afternoon here in Nigeria, so I'll say good afternoon to those watching from Nigeria. And to those watching from other parts of the world, good day. My name is simply Adeola Agoro. Sometimes I'm known as Alhaja Adeola Agoro JP. I'm a media practitioner, a creative person, and I'm a CEO. I'm the CEO of Deo-Agoz Photo Studio based in Abuja, but we have operations everywhere in Nigeria, especially events. We cover events everywhere in Nigeria, but our main office is here in Abuja. So basically, that's all I do. And as Akim introduced me, a movie producer, a videographer also. My work encompasses anything camera, video coverage, cameras, documentaries, jingles, anything that has to do with camera, I'm there. So that is all about me.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you very much for joining us today. So to begin, I want us to look back at your journey as a journalist, as an entrepreneur, as a creative professional. What experience truly changed the way you think about business or the way you think about leadership?
I can't pin it to only one experience. As we grow in life, so many things form our characters, our decisions, our drive, our values. I would say that talking about business, the main thing that has made me stand through the years, because I could remember that I left paid employment in 2008. And since 2008 till now, I have been the one paying others, but I've been paid also by my clients. But I don't receive salaries. I receive consultancy fees or I receive sales, depending on what aspect of my business we're talking about. So I think the experiences that got me to where I am today, number one, reading. I can remember that the very first time I realized that I needed to leave paid employment was when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I realized that to be rich, you would have to work for yourself, be in business and make money. No amount of salary can take you to the level you want to take, except you are in the oil and gas industry. There are people in some industries that are earning a lot more than those in business, but not all of us can be in oil and gas. So after reading the truth about those who earn salaries, wait for retirement, and then live their lives in Nigeria, 35 years, waiting for a retirement package that at the end of the day, you may spend within a month. And you would have worked, of course, you would be earning your wages. But I think that book, reading that book as far back as 2006, got me restless. And having worked with people or having interviewed many business people, politicians, giants of industries, I was motivated to start my own thing. And reading that book really opened my eyes to the reality out there. So I took that risk. It wasn't an easy risk because I could remember going to one of my editors then, Mr. Lekon Otunfodorin, and I asked him, I said, if I wanted to branch out and start my own media outfit, how much would I need? And I think back then, when Naira still had much value, I think he said I would need at least 50 million. And I could remember asking him if I had 25 million, if I would be able to start. And he said, yes, with 25 million Naira, you would be able to start something. And I went down by saying, what if I had 5 million? And he said, 5 million? Well, maybe you could start something with even 5 million. And then I pushed it further. You could remember we started from 50 million. He mentioned 50. And I said, what if you have 1 million? Sorry?
I said from 50 now to 5.
So yes, I now said 5. I now said 1 million. And he looked at me like I wasn't serious. And he said, that won't start anything. And as at the time I was asking him, I didn't have even that 1 million Naira. That was why when he said 50, I was scared, but I wasn't discouraged. And then I kept bringing it down until we got to 1 million, and he said it was not possible. And I started without anything. All I needed was to write letters to the people I thought I could work with. I had studied the industry, I had taken some courses, and it was a known terrain, don't forget, as a journalist on the field. Let me add this, I wrote to society editor of the Comet newspapers, I wrote to the society editor and one of the founding members of the Nation newspapers. And before then, I wrote for This Day. I was editorial executive with Hint magazine. I was a reporter researcher with Tempo. I was a columnist with PM News. I was a correspondent briefly with Radio Canada. I was also a writer for Trumpet magazine in London. So I had seen it all on the field. I had seen people that I was interviewing. So all those things made me realize that I could start my own thing. And I realized that since I didn't have even the 1 million Naira, I thought, okay, that was the lowest I could even think of. I didn't have the 50 million we were talking about. I did not have 25 million. I did not even have 5 million. And the 1 million Naira I mentioned, that seemed like a joke. I didn't have it, but I had that determination. And I had my laptop to write letters. And I could remember that the very first letter I wrote was even on a letterhead that I quickly produced at a cyber cafe. I just designed it and it came back positive, and I was determined. And one thing about life is once you have been lucky to start well, you would find out that you would be enabled, you would have that confidence to try some more. So within a short period, I was able to have 4 clients, a governor, the former governor of Zamfara State. I started with Senator, His Excellency, who became a senator later, Ahmed Sani, known as Yerima, Ahmed Sani Yerima. And I later went to work with his successor, Alhaji Mahmuda Shinkafi. And then around the time I was working with Shinkafi, because I was still working when I tried my luck with Yerima, and I was lucky, I was engaged as a media consultant. So by the time I went to work with Shinkafi, I had Shinkafi, and then I tried again. I tried former Minister of Environment, Housing and Urban Development, architect Halima Tayo Alao, and she got me on board as a media consultant. It was People always said I was difficult to work with women, but I found it so easy to work with her. And then I worked with the National Industrial Court when Justice Babatunde Adejumo was there. And then I got Senator Umaru Dahiru. So I had 4 clients to start with. So I started on a very, very nice level.
During this period, what was one?
I'm sorry, there's construction going on around me. So if you are hearing that nailing sound, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during all this period, what was one particular challenge that you actually faced and you were able to surmount?
Challenge. If somebody wanted to have clients and she got those clients, you won't call that a challenge. It's not everything you start that you would have challenge. Sometimes you start well. It is in the middle of it that you will get have challenges. For me, it was a smooth sail starting. I didn't have any challenge starting. It was so in the middle that I now started encountering challenges.
So there's a powerful wisdom in your story. For a discerning mind, there's a lot of wisdom that one can actually learn from your journey because you are an embodiment of experience. And this will take me to the next question. Starting and growing Deo-Agoz, I want us to diverge a little bit into your business right now. So starting and growing Deo-Agoz, it must have been challenging. There must have been some little challenges. So can you share one moment, one setback that shaped you and the lesson you learned from it in building Deo-Agoz?
Yeah, in fact, the story of Deo-Agoz is as emotional as successful. Because when the idea came for me to have a photo studio, it was something that just came. I engaged somebody to work with me when we were working on the election of a governor. I don't want to mention his name now. And I was a member of the APC campaign committee, media. And I found out that for me, the pace at which reports were coming, for me, was a bit slow. I wanted to do something that would be out there, creativity, do jingles, do designs, do flyers, do so many things. I wasn't going to do, okay, reports only. Any report that came, I wanted to transform it into something that would add value to the election. So I engaged a very brilliant man, Samuel, that's his name. I engaged him. And so while I was in Ekiti, he was back in my house. I made the home available for him. If you need anything, the generator is there and all that. By the time I got back, he had turned my house to a studio because he was there for a while. And as I said, he was a talented person, very, very talented human being. So instead of getting angry, I called him. Is there money in photography? He said yes. So I said, then let's go, let's start. And he said I should go and look for a place. We'll start. We spoke with some people who were managing some studios, and they encouraged me. And he said, go and look for a place. And as I was driving to go and look for a place that we would use, because I told him we can't be using the house. Thinking back now, looking back, maybe I would have used the house, but that's a story for another time. So I checked the place out, and I found the place. As I was driving, I saw where we are now. It's a big park. I love nature, and I know that with nature, you can achieve a lot in photography. So I went there, and without calling him, I just paid. I didn't want to miss that slot. I paid, and by the time I called him, that was the first challenge I had. By the time I called him, I was so full of excitement. I will come and see where I got. And he looked at it. And in parks and gardens in Abuja, they have the way the buildings should be built. They can't be standard building with headroom and all of that. And because he was used to my sitting room with a big headroom, he didn't like what he saw. And from that moment, and I had already put my mind on it. I had paid. Don't forget, I had paid.
Yes.
And only for him to say we won't use that place if I could get my money back. And as a determined person, I just made up my mind that I was going to try it. I told him something which he didn't see then. I said, see, if we don't have, I think that place is just about a few inches shorter than what a standard room height would be. So I told him, I said, even if this place is not as high as you would want it, the outside, the sky is as high as anything.
The sky has no
We
limit.
can do, sorry?
The sky has no limit.
No limit. I said, these are trees, these are plants, I was already, like, I was going crazy with ideas of what we could do there, but he was limiting what we could achieve because that was what he was used to, a proper studio indoor. I was thinking, see, not everybody will be like, the place can still take somebody who is 6'2". It's when you're taller than that, maybe 6'5", that your head will touch the ceiling. And most people in Nigeria are just about that average height of 5'11", 6 feet. So we'll still have some inches. And I even told him we could even walk and dig lower so that we'll have more room down to make up for what we couldn't have. He didn't see it. And that was a big challenge for me. I tell you, I had paid.
The guy did not see your vision.
He did not see that vision that he actually was the one I was going to copy. I saw what he was doing and I wanted us to do it together, but he wasn't seeing what I was seeing. And then that was a big challenge because after that, I now started shopping for those who will work with me. I could remember calling one Mr. A. I still spoke with him this weekend, and he was blaming me for not carrying him along. And I said, I offered you 50% ownership of this place because you're a photographer, and you turned it down. You said you were looking for billion naira contracts or billion naira deals. You couldn't. I said, this is 8 years after I started the studio and you still haven't struck gold. He said, life is like that. I said, if you had followed me, maybe by now you would have grown it bigger. So the challenge came when I started shopping. I started shopping for people to work with me. So it's like a man looking for a wife. You get different women with different ideas. I got different people making ridiculous demands. You will get a house for me. You will pay me 4 months in advance. You will pay for my feeding until I got somebody that had worked with me before on something totally different, jingles and all of that. And I invited him. And without giving me any problem, but that was after like 3 weeks of paying that rent. You could imagine the rent was going. And I still didn't know who I was going to work with. And this person came and said, let's start. Let's just start from where we are. So I was able to surmount that challenge when I got the right person. Yes. So that was the major challenge then.
I appreciate your honesty. And one thing I have noticed is that challenges and setbacks, they often teach us lessons that will later influence how we relate with people and how we build credibility at the end of the day. So, as someone who has worked in media consultancy with influential and political leaders, what is one lesson you have learned about reputation and communication and building trust?
You see, when people ask me, how have you been able to maintain your relationship with most of the people you have worked with? I think number one is do not make demands. Give to them more than what they even expect from you. Before you ask for anything, make sure it's related to what you are doing for them. Don't go about asking for personal help. It diminishes your values. You could charge for your service. It could even be said that you are charging higher than most people but make sure you give a lot. So trust comes from doing their job, setting a timeline. For instance, in my kind of job, you set like a media plan, and then you let them know the deliverables. You don't just go abstract by saying, I'm working for you. No, let them know what to expect. For instance, if you are putting your clients in the media, then when I started, we didn't have social media as such. We were relying on traditional media. And as a core newspaper person with experience in electronic media, I was able to map out my strategies. So I always came out with my strategies. So that trust will come when you deliver and you deliver more. For instance, you tell a client, I'm working with you for 3 months, and within 3 months, your visibility will be, something that like you would become a household name. Don't promise what you can't deliver.
Exactly.
If you have a client that tells you, I want to be president, and you know that the media and the person expects that what you are doing will make him become a president, you tell that person, I'm sorry, I can only make you visible. Your chances of becoming a president will now rely on the people, if they vote for you, your party, if they accept you. So be truthful. I had a situation where a former governor called me and said he wanted to run for president. And I said, are you for real? Because he was going to run against the former head of state. So I said, are you for real? And he told me, not really. He said he just wanted to.
He wasn't really sure.
He knew that it was going to be he was truthful with himself. So from the beginning, it was really, really interesting, nice working with him. But some other people would have told him, don't worry, you will beat that person. What? This and that. But testing his popularity against that person's popularity at that time was like he wasn't anywhere. But we needed to do that work for visibility, and we achieved that. So my being open and truthful with my clients earned me that respect. You would see some people saying they are discouraging me, and I would say, no, I'm not. I'd rather not take your money than lie to you and say, don't worry, I'll deliver. I can only try and push you out there for people to accept you, to know you, and maybe to like you. But it doesn't.
Excuse me, was there a time that your principle was tested? Because what you were saying actually brought about this particular question. Was there a time that your principle was actually tested along the line?
There's nowhere you walk, even for yourself, that your values, your principles in life won't be tested. People will push further. People would, and it comes, and don't forget that as a woman in a man's field, there are certain things that you would, people forget sometimes that you're a woman. So they test you, they push you beyond. You could imagine you're working with a client, for instance, is from Yobe State. I had a client who was from Yobe State, and he doesn't care whether you are married or you are single or you are a mother, and he wants you to be in Damaturu.
Wow.
And without planning, without buying clothes, I've had situations, maybe journalism actually prepared me for that. So what will come as a test for some people, I was already used to it. I was already had that immunity. The first time I went to Zamfara with Yerima, I didn't have a change of clothing. So I got there and slept in what I wore. And then in the morning, he was saying that some of the first lady was going to give me clothes. But I looked at it, I wasn't going to be proper wearing the first lady's clothes. It was going to reduce me. We later became very good friends after he left office, but then no. So I went to the market. You could imagine, in that same clothes I had worn throughout the previous day, I wore it to bed, I wore it to the market, sold, bought clothes, start with tailors, so you have to make anything and all that. So when Nana had to go to Damaturu without, without being prepared, I was able to navigate. So there's no job. There's nothing you do in life that your principles, your values won't be tested. It is how you now rise above it that matters. So I can go on and tell you different stories. Principles, yes, you have things that you feel you can't do this. But when your next pay packet is coming from it, you make whatever you're doing in life. Sorry, a call. I forgot to. So can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Yes, continue. I can hear you.
Sorry, I got a call. I forgot to turn off my phone. So
Okay.
that is it.
Okay,
It's
so
rising above challenges and tests
I
that
love
would actually make you a stronger person.
I love everything you have said. I learned now that trust is such an important currency in both business and in leadership. You understand? And I love the fact that principle too is an important currency too. That the young people, especially the Gen Zs, need to learn the art of having solid principle. So, and that's going to bring me to the next one. For young creative and entrepreneurs that are trying to like build something that are just coming up, you understand? What is one lesson that you wish someone had told you earlier in your journey?
Um, I think one of the first things I learned in life is that whatever business you are doing, make sure you have your money times three. If you are starting a business and you need 100,000, for instance, make sure you have 300,000. 100,000 to set up, another 100 for your normal feeding and all that, and then for emergencies. But even knowing that didn't prepare me for some of the things I now know. I'll tell young minds, whatever you are doing, make sure you are a master of it before you engage people. Because why do businesses fail? Businesses fail because people who are not masters in their trade. If I knew, maybe I would have mastered the art of using studio settings, because as a society editor and as a journalist, I had cameras. I had about 6. But starting a studio, I now had to use more professional cameras that would not work without lights and triggers. So if I knew some of these things, then some challenges that I had along the line might not have happened. Like you are trying to, in Nigeria, there's so much corruption. People try to cheat you out of what you do. So when you sack people, when you catch them stealing and all of that, you find out that if you don't quickly engage a new set of people without really testing them, training them, and all of that, you need people urgently, or you force yourself to work with those same people who are killing your business. If anybody had told me, I would have tried to master all those things so that in case something along the line happened and I was left alone, I would be able to manage my studio. Initially, when I didn't have those extra hands, I fell into a very big problem one day when we discovered a very big fraud, and they all agreed they were in it together. And I took a decision that they had to go. And as soon as they left, customers started coming. And there I didn't know how to set the lights, because don't forget that as a studio owner, I was still able to do my consultancy. I was still able to do so many things. So, and I was the creative head. I was taking lessons in different types of photography. I could direct, I could do, but I wasn't the one handling cameras. So I had that bad experience once. So I would tell young people or anybody going into business, whatever you can do for yourself in case of emergency, start. But just know that the day something untoward happens, you would be in trouble. So if anybody had told me then, I wish they had told me then that, see, just try to be a very, very good master. Handling cameras as an editor is quite different from as a professional photographer. But at least I've learned my lessons now.
So what the young people should understand is that, number one, if you are starting out, start with capital, start with money that is actually much more than, because personally I had experience in things like that when I was trying to start out too. And that's a story for another day as well. So as we begin to wrap up, I would like I want to leave the audience with something memorable. Like I want us to, like, if people only remember you for one lesson in your entire journey, what would you want that lesson to be?
I would want people to know that, first of all, I'm a mentor. In everything I have ever done, I have carried people along. Some days ago, an old woman and her husband and a lady walked into the studio, and they introduced themselves as the parents of one Joseph. I could remember we trained that Joseph a long time ago. He's now in Poland. I discovered through them that Joseph has sent several people to the studio without us knowing. The parents were the ones now telling us. They needed to take some pictures, and he said, you have to go to Deo-Agoz. We gave him that training, and we have trained a lot of people, men and women. So I think to be remembered, I would love to be remembered for my gift of mentorship. I have mentored a lot of people. When they come for training at the studio, whether they are paying or not, I tell them that photography is beyond just knowing how to snap and edit, or videography is beyond. I tell them the business side of it, because I want them to go into the world and make money. Because if you look at it, many businesses fail today, not because they don't have the equipment, not because they don't have the know-how, but it's because they don't know the PR aspect of it and the core business of business. I teach everybody that comes. I teach them. And so not everybody who has passed through me will tell you that I'm a mother, I'm a mentor. And that's one thing I want to be remembered for. In all the businesses I have done, I show people this is how to do it. I'm not afraid of competition. Already I met people in this business. In all the businesses I have done, I met people. And I could remember, let me just say this. I met one of the big names in photography in Abuja. I met him in Lagos. I was surprised when he told me these and these are the things you should be doing to make more money. And when he outlined them, I looked at him. I'm a competitor, for God's sake. And he said, I started 20 years before you. You are not my competition, but I want you to grow. So why won't I let other people grow? And don't forget, all the bosses I worked with gave me that leverage. They gave me that opportunity to grow. So I also want to be remembered for growth, for mentorship.
Thank you. I mean, testament to your mentorship. In fact, some of the things that I do right now are as a result of the mentors that I actually got from you. So that's a fact. So thank you very much for sharing your experiences. Thank you very much for sharing your journey, your lessons, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. At Lesson Bank, we believe that behind every successful person, there are stories that can actually help others to avoid mistakes, that can help others to make better decisions and navigate life challenges without any hitches. So to everyone watching right now, and to everyone listening to us, if this conversation actually inspires you, I want you to remember the fact that your own experience matter too. Your failure matter. Your life matter. Your journey matter. And the lesson you have can actually be a breakthrough to someone else, and can be a breakthrough that somebody else actually needs. So we have created a kind of like a lesson bank contribution from where everybody can actually come and contribute to their own mistake. Tell us what you have done, how we have failed, how we have actually fallen. So we have a link in the description where you can document your mistake. your journey, how it happened, what happened. You don't have to be shy to tell your story, because I know most people now, they are quick to tell their stories, their success stories. People are always afraid to tell their failure stories. And to me, I believe there are more wisdom in your failure than in your success. And those wisdom, they are meant to be shared. They're not meant to be hidden. They are meant to be documented. They are meant to be distributed for other people to actually learn and channel their own path. So thank you very much for joining us. Go to the link in the description. There's a Google form there. Fill the form. Tell us what happened. Tell us your journey, the mistake you've made, because your mistake can actually be what someone somewhere need to be able to get ahead in life. And thank you, Alhaja, for joining us. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your openness. And thank you for being a mother, because you have been my mother from Nigeria to London to Lagos to Abuja. You are just a wonderful person. And thank you so much. And I believe God will increase your impact, and God will give you a long life to be able to eat the fruit of your labor. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. Thank you so much. And we've come to the end of this episode. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, ma'am.